Hello everyone, I am Tiffany Richardson, one of the registered dietitians here at Christ Community. Today I will be doing a brief nutrition segment on food label reading. And actually we will be talking about the nutrition facts label. That's the technical term. And reading the food label can help to better control and better manage certain diagnoses that you may have, such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and even helping you to reach a healthier weight. And so looking at certain components or facts on the food label can help you to keep these conditions under control. And so let's jump right into it. Reading the food label can sometimes be a little confusing, and so we do need to understand exactly what we're looking at. And so if you're looking at the first bold line at the top, above that you will see serving size. And so the serving size will tell you exactly what one serving is. And so if you're not eating one serving, you could be getting too much of something, some type of ingredient that's on this food label. And so if you look at the top, the serving size says 1 cup. And so I know it's getting cooler outside, so we may tend to grab a can of soup. Of course, it's easier sometimes to grab a can of soup rather than doing soup from scratch, but of course it's a lot healthier doing soups from scratch. But if you do happen to have to grab a can of soup, this particular soup says the serving size is 1 cup. So if you eat 1 cup of soup, if you look beneath the serving size, it said you will be eating 160 calories. And so it's so important to watch out for your calories, because if you eat too many calories, that can cause you to gain weight. And so we do have to be mindful of our calories. But say, for instance, we eat 2 cups of soup. Then we have to double everything on the food label. And so instead of 160 calories, you really will be eating 320 calories. And so we don't want to waste all our calories on just one meal. So just be mindful of eating 1 serving and understanding what 1 serving is. And so if you're not exactly sure what 1 cup of soup looks like, you may have to even go an extra step of getting measuring utensils, such as measuring cups. And that way you can really see how much 1 cup of soup looks like. All right, so let's move on to our next section on the food label. So if we look below the calories, there's something called saturated fat. And so saturated fat can affect your cholesterol. So it's so important to make sure that we watch out for the type of or how much saturated fat that we're intaking. And so what number should we be looking for? So the number you should be looking for is less than 3 grams per serving. So this particular food product has 0.5 grams of saturated fat. So you may see the 0.5 lowercase g, but that's another term for grams or abbreviation for grams. And so this particular food product is less than 3 grams per serving. So that's a low-fat food. So actually, this is okay in regards to monitoring your cholesterol, keeping your cholesterol low. So when it comes to sodium, let's look a little bit further down. And as you notice, the sodium stands out really well, doesn't it? Any canned products typically have a whole lot of sodium, okay? So that's really what they're really known for, especially your canned soups. And so we have to be careful with our sodium when we're trying to monitor our blood pressure. And so what number should we be looking for when it comes to the sodium? Well, 300 mgs, mg stands for milligrams. 300 milligrams or less, 300 milligrams or higher per serving is considered high salt. So let's look at the label on the left. On the left, the sodium says it's 680 milligrams. That's a lot of sodium, isn't it? And that's another word for salt. So we definitely have to maybe reconsider or think about choosing a healthier soup item, because 680 milligrams is a lot of sodium. So maybe consider comparing products and try to find a soup that's lower in salt. The sodium in the reduced sodium of soup, let's see, it says it's 340 milligrams. So that's a lot less than the 680. But wait a minute, we stated that a high salt food is greater than what? 300 milligrams. The reduced sodium soup, it contains 340. So even though it has lower amount of sodium, but it's still not considered low salt because low sodium is considered less than 140 milligrams per serving. So we still have to be mindful. Just because something may say reduce doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy for us. But it is a good thing to still try to find the best product possible. So the closer we are to the numbers that we're looking for, the better controlled our numbers, our diagnoses will be. And so let's look at the next item. So if we look below sodium, we'll find total carbohydrates. And so if you have diabetes, it's always good to look at your carbohydrates. So total carbohydrates is just like saying total sugars. And so this number can be determined, depends on your weight, your height. So there's different factors to let you know how many carbohydrates you need for a meal or for the entire day. So a registered dietitian, such as myself, can help you set those goals. And so typically if you're eating for a meal, 30 to 45 grams of carbohydrates is what you should have in a meal. And so what does this food label say? Total carbohydrates on this food label is 24 grams. And so actually this will be okay to have for a meal if you're trying to manage your sugar level. But if you're eating, some people eat soup for a snack between their meals throughout the day. But if you're eating it for a snack, you only can have about 15 grams of carbs for a snack. So this may be a little too much. So just depending on what you're buying this for, whether a meal or a snack, will help determine that number, whether it's too much or too less. Okay, so I hope this nutrition segment was very beneficial to you, and I hope you learned a lot. So if you hadn't already started reading your food labels, I hope you do so today, because when you're reading your food labels, once again, it can help to manage certain diagnoses. And if you need further education, you know, the food label explained a little bit more in depth, in detail, definitely you always can request a nutrition referral from your PCP, your primary care doctor, and they will refer you to one of our registered dietitians, such as myself, and we will be more than glad to assist you with actually any nutrition counseling for any nutrition topics. So I do want to leave you with one little last point. Remember, food label reading can lead to healthy eating. May God bless.